San Angelo citizenry has necessarily, and thankfully, developed a keen eye when it comes to spotting water waste. And often those eagle eyes are trained on the very outfit that sells water and regulates its use during times of drought, the city of San Angelo. Many citizens perform a valuable public service in alerting us to the unintentional waste of water on city properties. Sometimes, however, those reports take on a life of their own. They lead to accusations that the city is willfully wasting water, is more concerned with lush parks than with the drinking supply, and is failing to lead by example when it comes to water conservation. In fact, the city practices more conservation than the ordinances preach. The city's largest water user is the Parks Department, and for the past year, the Parks Department has adhered to a more stringent watering schedule than is allowed by the Drought Contingency Ordinance. Frankly, we haven't done an adequate job of making that known, or of responding to some commonly held misperceptions about the city's water use.
Misperception. The city does not pay for water. The city pays for water it uses at the same rate as all commercial water customers. The city council limits through the budget how much city operations can spend on water. For the Parks Department, that has been about $90,000 for Texas Bank Sports Complex and $210,000 for all other city parks. Misperception. The city doesn't adhere to its own watering restrictions. Again, the city waters less than is allowed under the ordinance. Recall that before September's plentiful rainfall, San Angelo was approaching drought level 3, which prohibits outside watering. Prior to that, the Parks Department was winterizing parks in the expectation that they would not be watered in the fall and winter. A month before the rains, watering had ceased at most parks. 2 weeks prior to the storms, no park or sports field was being watered. Although the rains allowed restrictions to be relaxed, the city continued its adherence to a more stringent program of irrigation. During the winter months, watering is allowed once a week for up to an inch. The city watered its bigger, more prominent community parks once or twice a month, typically delivering a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch of moisture. When warmer weather arrived with March, parks were watered once a week, but at less than an inch. As of April 1st, the ordinance allowed watering twice every 7 days. The city continued watering once a week at less than an inch per application. With the move to drought level 2, most recently renovated and community parks, along with some of the new sports fields, will continue to be watered once a week, as permitted by ordinance. But they will each receive less than the inch of water that is allowed. Misperception. The city pursues lush green parks at the expense of drinking water. Aesthetics are not a concern at this point. That's why there's not yet landscaping at the refurbished City Hall or any new vegetation along the Concho River Trail rehabilitation project. Instead, the Parks Department is seeking to maintain viable root systems, so when the rains finally come, the city's investment in turf won't be lost. If turfs are not maintained at a minimal level, parks will sport either bare ground, which is a far from suitable playing surface for children, or they will become infested with weeds, stickers, and goat heads. It should also be noted that of the city's 476 acres maintained by the Parks Department, 292 acres have viable irrigation systems. Less than half of those, 140 acres, are being sprinkled, all of which are high profile, heavily utilized, or newly renovated or constructed sites. Misperception. The city waters parks more than once a week. Yes, but not exactly. Because of their size, most parks are divided into zones. Each zone is watered once a week. But watering every zone in a park or sports complex can take a span of days. Texas Bank Sports Complex's 55 acres, for instance, are divided into 95 zones. Irrigation must be scheduled around allowed hours for watering, games, practices, and maintenance of the fields. Not to mention that, if it were possible, watering all 95 zones simultaneously would effectively drain East San Angelo's water lines. Misperception. The city pumps water directly from the Concho River to irrigate the sports complex. The city possesses a state-issued permit to divert water from the river at the Texas Bank Sports Complex. What we don't have is the pumping equipment to do so, or the approximately $250,000 to buy the equipment and build the pumping station. The only advantage to pumping from the river would be that, because the water is untreated, we could reduce water costs. And yes, we would have to pay for the water. However, we wouldn't pump from the river in times of severe drought when the community must rely more heavily upon river water to supplement its drinking supply. Misperception. The city waters during the hottest portion of the day. Watering is prohibited between noon and 6 p.m., when evaporation rates are highest in the spring and summer. Our sprinkler systems are programmed to activate between midnight and 7 a.m. in most small parks. No park is sprinkled during the prohibited hours. If you see a park being watered between noon and 6 p.m., an irrigation system has suffered a failure. Even when they are not operational, irrigation systems remain pressurized. When a valve cracks or breaks under that pressure, water is released. The Parks Department's manpower isn't such that it can have employees at every site. So we not only rely upon the public to alert us when an irrigation system has failed, we encourage them to do so. Inadvertent watering can be reported to one of the following: the Operations Department, the Parks Department, the Code Compliance Division, the Public Information Office. During off hours, citizens can also email Operations Director Shane Kelton or Park Superintendent Roger Havlock, or they can report the matter on the city's Facebook page. We sincerely ask for the public's help in monitoring these occurrences.
Again, no one understands the seriousness of our water issue like those of us who work for the City of San Angelo. We deal with the issue on a daily basis. As a result, the city vows to be as vigilant as we can in stretching our water supply for as long as is necessary. In doing so, we hope to set an example that others can follow. For the City of San Angelo, I'm Public Information Officer Anthony Wilson.